بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Ramadan need to be for all of us like the other days. So we have to plan, which is mean if your iman increase in the other days, inshallah, in Ramadan need to multiply. Today is the fourth night, and you're seeing how life of the human being, subhanAllah, how it go by very fast. Then you have to take advantage of all of that. The concept of death that we were talking about last time is for us as a believer to adhere to it and to practice it, especially in Ramadan. We are closer, nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever we are sharing is to be implemented, not just to enjoy it, or for people they take it as a break to get rest. No, to think about it. We are reading the words of Allah. The words of Allah are a gift for us. Your life is a gift. Therefore, if you take all of this in consideration, you'll find every day of yours, especially in Ramadan, that it needs to have more reflection, more remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you correct your view of death and you make peace with death, the way that we have explained it, then your perspective will change. Your heart will not be any more attracted to anything of this dunya. Certainly there are things like anybody else. But however, your ultimate goal becomes totally different. It is because when you know death is part of the stages of your life, is one of all the stages. And death is just passing to a new dimension. And then your dream, your all concern becomes like that when you make your step into death, how are you going to be? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is waiting for you. Allah is watching you. اعملوا ما شئتم, do whatever you want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the all-seeing. But however you believe that you know you have the certainty, so your dream, your heart is more attached now to things that how you're going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most precious thing, the greatest thing into the existence becomes two things. The forgiveness of Allah and His mercy. That's it. The forgiveness of Allah and the mercy are both, they lead in you where? To the paradise. And paradise, again, reminding myself and reminding you, is not just as a reward, it's not just a reward. Paradise is a life. You see yourself today, you wake up, you go to work, you eat, and you have your family. This is what is going to be in paradise, is a life. It's your life for eternity. So the true life, when you think about it, the next stage of your life is the true existence. There's no one who can attain fulfillment in this life. It's impossible. Why? Because Allah made it to be, subhanallah, mixed with the trial and things. So when you think about that, then you elevate yourself, you free, you liberate yourself from the gravity of the earth to be looking ahead. And this is what makes, subhanallah, a believer to be in looking at the perspective, not anymore what is happening down in the earth. I mean, you do your task, there is a right that you have to fulfill. All of that, this is way of part of our ihsan. However, the most important thing becomes that action that I had done for the sake of Allah, was it accepted or not? That's become, subhanallah, that's become the true dream. Abdullah ibn Jahsh, he's a rich person. When they left Mecca and they migrated for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I have mentioned one time, they left like palaces. This is what they have. And the best home that Abdullah ibn Jahsh had, and he had it, subhanallah, and he left it empty. And who's the one who confiscated after, and he took it? by injustice is Abu Jahl, la'anahu ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised him a paradise a palace in paradise in exchange. And he was so pleased. But Abdullah ibn Jahsh, he came in Ghazwat Uhud, that we were reciting all the events of Ghazwat Uhud are in Surah Ali Imran. As one of the young tabi'een, he asked Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he said, what happened to you in Ghazwat Uhud? He's kind of arguing. He told him, go read the Quran from the ayat of 200, you will understand what happened to the believers at that time with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah ibn Jahsh, he's the one who looked at death as a passage, a bridge. The most important, he's going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then what was his dream? And dua is a dream mixed with a dua. He said, Ya Allah, I'm going to be in this battle. Ya Allah, grant me the favor to have someone strong that he will fight with him and he will fight me and I'll fight him in the sake of Allah. And he gave all the details that how he wished to die in the sake of Allah, and he died exactly how he wished to die. And he said after that, he said, and if when I come to you, Ya Allah, disfigured and this part cut and everything, you ask me, for whom have you done this, Ya Abdullah? And I will say, in your sake, Ya Allah. And you will tell me, sadaqt, you said the truth. Today, you recited Quran for the sake of Allah. Don't you wish that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He come to you, ask you about that recitation, He said, Ya Allah, I recited it in your sake, seeking to know you more, seeking to get closer to you, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you want to hear sadaqat. Other people, subhanAllah, said, no, you are a liar. You've been reciting Quran for people to say he's a pious. And they said it, then, wal-iyadu billah, to go hellfire. And you know the fuel, how the hellfire will be fueled. It's going to be fueled by three categories of people that among us we think that they are the best. Qurra, people with money and things, wealthy, that they give sadaqah in front of you. And subhanAllah, scholars. And people who fought in the sake of Allah and they died in the battlefield, but they didn't do it for Allah. Therefore, the believer, when you think, what is your greatest goal in this life is maghfirah wa rahmah. Therefore, you have to exert that and practice that sidq, how truthful you are in asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you think of it rationally, now when you're going to die, what is going to happen? You're going to meet Allah. For this reason, قَالَ وَلَئِن قُتِلْتُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you die in the sake of Allah, or you die, normally, if you get killed or you die, قَالَ فَمَغْفِرَةٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. Here. This is, subhanAllah, what we listen. This is what Allah is telling you. If someone, for example, telling you, if you're going to do an investment, you should do it in this part. This is going to bring you a return of profit that none of the other investment will provide it for you. Then you're going to run and put all your risk in there. Here there is no risk. There is no risk. And all of us are going to die. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. We're going to die to the death. Therefore, that next step, when you're going to step into death, when you get on the bridge of the death, what do you want to have? So this is the reality. This is the truth. If we ignore it, we're ignoring ourselves. If we neglect it, we're neglecting ourselves. Subhanallah. Al-Imam al-Junayd, when he was dying, his son, he was telling him, say La ilaha illallah. Say La ilaha. Yulaqinuhu, an obedient son. So he opened his eyes, he said, son, I am in my sixth word of the day. He has word, part of the remembrance, he do them, many of them. He opened his eyes, he said, I am in the number 6. So what are you talking about? La ilallah? Is La ilallah has been absent on me? I have been saying it all the time and I'm continuing doing my word, my daily word, till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take his soul. This is, dear brother, respected sister, the people who are ready. Ready. Abu Bakr ibn Ayyash, his daughter was crying by his bed. He said, do not cry. Why you are crying? He said, do you see this corner? Your father completed the Quran 20,000 times in this corner. Now the most amazing in his narration, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he knows how many khatma he did. 20,000 khatma in that corner, daughter. So you don't cry. That confidence that these great people had, because they have yaqeen in meeting Allah, and the yaqeen with meeting Allah only comes when you deal with death. When death, it becomes a concept for you like any other stage. You were a nutfa, you were a blood clot, you were a sperm, you were water, you were nothing. If you look at any water, you're going to say, that's me. Yeah, you were like that. But Allah created you and recreated. And then death is another stage of creation. We have to adhere to it and embrace it in this way, in yaqeen, as we have talked yesterday, so you can be able to come at the step of death, at the ataba, at the door of the death. You'll be confident. Why? Because you were ready and you have prepared. So all what you are seeking in your life, or what you have sought in your life, is the maghfirah from Allah and His rahmah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower us with His forgiveness and His mercy. Wa ila salati yarhamukumullah.